Hello and welcome to another show from Hal Sam Productions. Apologies, it's been such a long time since we last did a programme, but today we're coming back in style. We're going to be reviewing one of my personal favourite films, Back to the Future. As you can see here, I have Back to the Future 2 in the background. We'll be reviewing that one next week. I think we're going to aim to review all three of the films, my favourite trilogy of all time. I know a lot of people aren't particularly kind or happy with the third instalment. I personally don't mind it. Quite enjoyed it. All three films are awesome. Now, normally Samuel wouldn't have seen this film, but I reckon he must have seen it, I don't know, about 4 times now. So we're going to show you the clip of the trailer in a moment, a bit of a synopsis of the plot in case you haven't seen it. But great Scott, if you haven't seen it, where have you been? So that's what we'll be doing. Then we'll just share our thoughts on the film, maybe give out a few spoilers, although it's hard to imagine that you wouldn't have heard any of the spoilers now. Although, here's a little golden nugget for you. When we do Back to the Future 3, I'm going to explain how the whole film could have been shortened by about an hour and a half. But that's a nice little surprise for later on down the road. Well, we're going, we don't need roads. Anyways, here's the trailer. Back to the Future is a 1985 science fiction classic, written and directed by Robert Zemeckis, and starring Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Lea Thompson, Crispin Glover, and Thomas F. Wilson. Set in the year 1985, the story follows Marty McFly, who accidentally travels back to the year 1955 in a time-travelling DeLorean built by a scientist friend, Dr. Emmett Brown. Trapped in the past, Marty inadvertently prevents his future parents from falling in love, and this threatens his very existence. He is forced to somehow reconcile the two and then get back to the future. The film was a critical and commercial success, earning $381.1 million worldwide to become the highest grossing film of 1985. It received multiple awards, including an Academy Award, and its theme song, The Power of Love, by Huey Lewis and the News, was a global success.
Watching Back to the Future today to jog my memory. I've seen it 45 times and I really liked it. It was in the car, I liked the characters, and I liked all the adventures that took place in the past 3 films. And quite frankly, if you have not seen Back to the Future, I think you might be living in 1955.
Okay, well that was Back to the Future in the bag. I'm going to put my very special Hill Valley cap on to celebrate the fact we just spent a couple of hours there in Hill Valley with Marty McFly, the Doc, and the rest of the crew. Absolutely awesome film. I love all the characters in Back to the Future. There's not a single person that I dislike. Michael J. Fox, of course, played Marty. Whilst he was filming Back to the Future, he was also doing Family Ties during the day. So Back to the Future was primarily filmed mainly at night time, believe it or not. He worked all day long on Family Ties, a little bit of kip in between, and then Back to the Future in the evenings. That would be one tough 6, 7 or 8 months. I'm glad I wasn't in his shoes. Special effects are pretty good for the year 1985. A little bit of ropey electricity here and there, but I'm not going to complain about that. It's an amazing film. Soundtrack is awesome. Got Huey Lewis and the News doing 2 of the key songs. The the shame that when we come to Back to the Future 2, that's missing the hit songs that Back to the Future 1 had. Back to the Future 3, we do return to a little bit of classic music, which we'll come to when we get to that stage. But yeah, Back to the Future. So when Samuel does his little talk in a moment, I'm going to ask him what his favourite parts were, who his favourite characters were. There's not really much you can say that hasn't been said already. I guarantee everyone's seen Back to the Future pretty much. But if for whatever reason your kid hasn't seen it, highly recommended. It's PG. There is a couple of swear words here and there. When we were looking at clips to show throughout today's programme, there's a couple of S words here and there, so it kind of narrows down the clips that you can play, annoyingly. But on the whole, I'm going to give this not just 2 thumbs up, 4 thumbs up, 6 thumbs up, 8 thumbs up. I'm going to give it 10 thumbs up, baby, because it's Back to the Future. Great Scott!
He's coming.
He caused $300 damage to my car. I'm gonna take it. Hold on.
Let him go, Biff. You're drunk.
Well, looky what we have here.
So I just watched Back to the Future to jog my memory a little bit, and there's quite a funny scene in it where he rips a kid's skateboardy kind of thing and holds on to the back of a truck, and then it ends with Biff gliding into a manure truck.
So yeah, manure's quite a big part of the Back to the Future films, isn't it? Poor old Biff, he keeps getting manure in his mouth. I'd hate that, that'd be absolutely yucky. So was that your favourite scene in the film, was it?
Yeah, it's quite, because, you wouldn't, it's not an everyday life activity looking at someone crashing into manure and getting in the mouth and...
And who was your favourite character in the film, Samuel?
Doc, because he created a DeLorean that can go back in time.
Yeah, he's quite a cool character, Doc, wasn't he? For sure. What would you do if you ended up here in 1955, do you reckon?
Explore. Because there's no iPads, there's nothing there. It's black and white TV, it's just, maybe a bit dull.
Be a very different world. But the music was pretty cool. And one of my favourite songs from 55 was Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Do, 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 do. Lots of good tunes in Back to the Future, wasn't there?
Yeah, makes you groove.
So we're going to be watching Back to the Future number 2 next. And you've seen that one as well. Which one do you reckon is your favourite, number 1 or number 2?
Number 1. I think the first one's always better.
Yeah, number 1 is probably the better one. But number 2 is cool because they actually go into the future. Although the future is now the past. Because they travel to the year 2015. Which, as we know, is in the past. Okay, so if you're wondering why Samuel is wearing different clothes today, well, he just popped into a DeLorean, he went back in time, visited his local JCPenney and bought himself some new threads.
Yep, next week we have Back to the Future 2.
That's right, we're going to be reviewing the sequel. Now, I can't decide if I prefer number 2 or number 1. Probably prefer number 1, but I like the whole future thing, where they actually go into the future and then back into the past again.
You know what, we're the same, because I like Back to the Future 1 more than Back to the Future 2 and 3.
I would rank it maybe number 1, then number 2, and then number 3, in order of the films being coming out.
Yeah, because I think 3 is a bit, I don't really know how to describe it, just a bit...
Awesome.
Well, awesome, yeah, but it just...
But less awesome than 1 and 2.
That's
Anyway, so that was Back to the Future. Next week, Back to the Future 2. I hope you all have a good week. And let's not forget that it is nearly Sunday night. And what's coming home on Sunday night?
Football's coming home, people.
It's coming home!
Yep, football is coming home. We'll see you next weekend for a Back to the Future 2. Go England!